Hi, this is Natalie from Namaste Farms, and today I'm going to talk about washing woolen mohair. This seems like a really simple thing to me because I wash hundreds of pounds of this a month, literally. But there's a lot of questions people have because everyone's always afraid of ruining it. So the deal is you really can't ruin it if you have really super hot water and you never change temperatures, because to ruin something, basically you need to felt it, and felting is agitation, change of temperature, and soak. So if we don't do all three of those things, we shouldn't ruin our fleece. And I move my fleeces around a lot. And I do have people say, are you sure you can do that? And then I say, am I sure I can do it? Yes, I'm sure I can do it. Because I do it all the time. And I honestly have never felted a fleece, except one time I thought, I'm going to put this fleece in the washing machine and just do, because a lot of my friends do that. They put it and they do the rinse and the spin cycle. And of course, I forgot it was in there. And then I had actually purchased the fleece from a friend, and it cost, I think it was like $40 a pound, and I ruined the entire thing. It was just a big felted mess of Wensleydale. Okay, so this is my best friend right here, Dawn. Okay, there's been some controversy over Dawn. I'm going to tell you right now, I use Dawn for my face every single night. I use it to wash my dogs. I use it to wash all my fleeces. I use it on my floors. There's only one thing that I don't use Dawn on, and that's actually dishes. I don't use Dawn on my dishes because I have a dishwasher. And honestly, I don't know why anybody would complain about it or say anything. I don't know if it's some weird thing against Procter & Gamble or something, or, you know, because it's like a big corporate, you know, mogul. But Dawn to me is the best thing to use. All my friends use it that are kind of counterculture and live in Oregon. It's what we use. The other thing that we will use with super greasy fleeces is sometimes we'll soak it in borax, and borax is a little caustic. And then I have a couple of tricks to get like really waxy, greasy stuff out, and I'll try and talk about those later. Okay, the first thing that I do is I will fill my sink with, really, when I'm talking about hot water, like right now, I already kind of preheated it up. It's so hot I can't touch it. Our hot water heater is turned up as high as you could possibly turn it, and you have to be careful with that if you have children. Obviously, everybody knows I have 5 kids, and they have to be old enough so that you can tell them that the water gets really hot and you don't have to worry about them burning themselves. I mean, definitely if you have little ones, you might not want to do that. You might want to only turn it up when you're going to be washing fleeces. Okay, so now it's basically the point where I can't put my hands in it anymore. And so I'm going to put Dawn, and this is the foaming kind that's supposed to be more concentrated. I don't measure it. I don't really care. I just look at it. I look at it and I go, wow, it looks soapy in there. That's awesome. That's what I want. Okay, the other thing is I want to make sure that I'm not going to have so much fleece in there that I can't move my fleece around enough for the water to get everywhere. And the other thing that I never want to do is I never want to let my fleece cool in this. Some people do this thing, they call it, I want to say they call it fermenting, where they'll leave wool in there for days and days and days. You can't do that with mohair. Because mohair, it's like the grease, because they have grease like what we have in our hair. They don't have oil like lanolin. It ends up re-adhering back on it, and you'll never get it out. So you never let your fleeces cool in this water after it's done, right? Okay, so you're gonna do all of this, and then you're gonna immediately put it on a dry rack, unless you're doing that technique called fermenting, which is something I don't do because you have to leave it in there. I want to say like for a week. And can you imagine how good that smells? Okay, so obviously this right here is a mohair fleece from my 2009 National Grand Champion, and it's really clean and it's long and it's beautiful. So I'm just gonna throw hunks in here. And actually, I kind of wish I would have laid these blocks out, but that's okay. I have more in here. So and it's clean. And I probably, if normally I'd put more in there than I just did, but I want to end up laying the locks out like this. This is Wensleydale over here, and I'm going to show you how to wash the locks if you want to keep the integrity. I'm not too worried about that really right now because I want to show you guys. So, and then I get a glove because I'm going to tell you my hands are really used to hot water, and I use them a lot, and they've got lots of calluses, but it's going to be painful. Okay, so this is what I do. I'm gonna turn it, and I'm gonna just keep doing this, and it's very hot and it hurts my hand even in these gloves. Now I'm gonna let it sit for probably like 3 or 4 minutes and kind of soak, but knowing that I don't want this water to get very cool. Periodically I'll walk by and I'll just kind of do this. And I do move my fleece around a lot. People think that I don't touch it, and that's not true. I do. I totally move it. Okay, so what I'm going to do in a few seconds is that I'm going to we're going to cut, and then we're going to let it drain, and then I'm going to redo this, and then I'm going to put it out on the dry racks. And then I'm going to show you how to wash these locks and keep them intact. And these are Wensleydale locks. Okay, so now what I do is I take this from the salad spinner, and my husband loves that I do this because he's like, can we have a salad without fiber in it? Can you get your own colander? And I say, yes, I can, and then I do, and I use it for something else. So it always comes back to the salad spinner colander part. So I guess the take-home message is don't have salads at our house. Okay, so this is what I do. I will take this now, and I want to get all of the gross, dirty water out, right? And what I'll do is this first bath that I have, because we have to pay for our water here in Southern California, it's awesome. I will put another fleece it's the first pre-rinse thing in this. And then this other side of my sink, I'll end up making a whole new bath to do this one again, to wash this one again. So basically, I'm not doing that because I'm not going to wash another fleece. Today, I'm actually pretty low on fleeces because I keep selling them. Believe it or not, me too. I also need money, and so what I do is when I get really desperate, I go out there and I look for animals to share, and I share them, and then, as most of you know, because a lot of you bought things from me, then I sell them on Facebook. And everybody knows, Natalie must need something. Once I have a fleece for sale, there's some impending something. But you guys actually bought my son his birthday present. I bought him an Australian Shepherd for his birthday and had it shipped to him in college, and he was very, very happy about that. All from my fleece sales. Okay, so I'm going to drain this water out, and I'm going to also drain this fleece. I'm pushing down on it, right? And actually, it's not very dirty. That amount of dirt in the water was not bad at all. And some people do worry about this gunking up their septic systems, I guess. And I've never had that problem, but our septic is really good. We just had it redone. Probably from fleece. No, it's not from that. It was old. But I've never had that. The only time I've ever had anything go wrong with the sink is I let a candle drain into there, and then it was nothing but wax. But okay, so we're going to do this again, and what I'll do is I'll go ahead and I'll use some of this water. I'll use, just to get some of the immediate dirt out in this colander, I'll do this, because sometimes, on the bottom, this is where the dirt collects. Now I'm going to refill in extremely hot water. And I move, like I told you, I move it. I'm not gentle with my fleeces. If you want to keep your locks perfect, don't do it this way. This is not the way you're going to do it. But for me, that's not what I'm looking for right at this very moment. And it doesn't mean that I wouldn't be able to save some of these locks. On shorter fleeces, this fleece was pretty long. It was probably like 6 to 8 inches. On shorter fleeces, you really wouldn't have to worry about it. And there's hardly any dirt in that, really. So now I'm actually probably not going to put soap in it a second time. On a really clean fleece, you can just do exactly what I just did, because what happens is you're going to end up, after you spin it, you're going to set the twist, and I don't set the twist with steam. I actually basically rewash the skein. I put the skein in here and I wash it, essentially hand wash it, and then hang it to dry, so I know that I'm going to be washing my fleece again, and I don't like to spin fleece that's been over scoured and feels really dry. So I usually won't wash it a second time if I don't have to. And if you have a really greasy fleece, a lanolin, a fleece that's a wool and has a lot of lanolin, and a lot of the fine wool breeds, like your merino, they have tons of lanolin, or some of your meat breeds. A lot of people, for some reason, write me, because they'll get free fleeces from like 4-H people, and there'll be a meat breed, like a Suffolk or something. Those will have grease in them, and you probably, and we'll have to wash them more than once. Also, they're very tightly woven together, so they like to hold on to a lot of dirt. Okay, so this is going to be my last rinse. And I move it around the whole time, as I said. Okay, so one of the things that happens sometimes is mohair gets like this. I've seen it actually on wool fleeces too, but it has like this wax. It's like crunchy. I don't know how to explain it. It's just like a crunchy fleece. And the only way that I have ever found to get rid of that, and it sounds crazy, is I will wash it, and the last rinse I'll put in furniture oil, like the Furniture Polish Old English is one of my favorites. Let me see if I can, I don't know if I have a label on one, but this stuff. I'll put this in the last rinse, literally. So it'll be really hot in this water, just like this, and I would just dump a bunch in here, and I would move it around and let it set for a while. And it's because this is an oily base, and like dissolves like, right? So if this is oily and we have this weird waxy sort of oil base thing that's stuck to our fleece, this should remove it. And if that doesn't work, the other thing I'll do is I'll spin it. This sounds crazy. I'll spin it and then I'll put it in olive oil, especially a really valuable fleece, one that's super long, and I'll pop it in the microwave. And that heat, the olive oil and the heat will dissolve that wax on that skein and take it off. And then I'll wash, obviously I'll wash it by hand like I'm setting the twist, and I'll put, you know, quite a bit of soap on it, and it'll take out all the oil, and you won't have that residue. But those kind of fleeces they're impossible to work with, and they don't feel good and to your hands when you're spinning them, and I don't think they ever come out right if you don't use something like this. Okay, so while I'm letting this just sit here, which we're going to move it in a minute, and it'll go out on the wash rack, excuse me. Okay, so this is the way you keep your locks intact if you want to. Sometimes I'll just bunch them all together and I'll put a rubber band on them. But you buy this tool, like this really, it's like wide web tool. And you're going to line up your locks like this. Like I said, this is a Wensleydale. And it's pretty clean. It's not too dirty. These, you know, the ends on these long fleeces usually will never get super clean because they've been on the sheep for, you know, over a year. So I want to get it to be like some length that's reasonable here so that I can work with it. And then you do that. And then in between these spaces here, you put in between the spaces of the first locks, the first row of locks, you put in more locks. Like this. And this would be for tail spinning with the tails on. That I have videos on that. And we've talked about that. And it's really popular because it's really fun, it's unique. And that look is really in right now. That sort of fur, you know. Furry. Okay, now I'm going to kind of roll it. And I'm going to try to hit in between my folds there. There. Okay, now I'm going to take a band. Which I only have a hair tie. Isn't that awesome? I don't know how the family of this many people cannot have a rubber band. That's probably why we don't have one. Okay, so I'm going to put it in like this. And I'm going to have to take, we only have one stopper for our sink, which is awesome because it's not even a stopper. It's like a tartar sauce thing that we got from a restaurant. There. But it matches, which is obviously very important. So, in this case, I'm not going to fill the sink, but I'm going to put hot water in here, and now I'm just going to put soap in it. Okay, so this is what it looks like now. I put it in here, and I put quite a bit of soap in, really, and I'm just going to kind of do this to it, and I'm going to turn it over, and I'm just going to like squeeze it, sort of. And as you can see, the water is very, 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 very hot. And I'm just going to keep doing this back and forth. And like I said, this fleece was, the sheep was actually rinsed before it was shorn, like the day before, so it's not super, super dirty. And these ends likely will never get clean. One thing I could do if I want to is I could lay them out on, let's say, a cookie sheet or something, and I could put hydrogen peroxide on the ends of these locks. We actually do that when I get poultry ready for poultry shows, white birds. That's one thing that I could do. I could use like Oxy, you know, the OxyClean that's not bleach, it's just the enzyme, and put that on it and try and get it. But it's these ones, it's really not that important. Ones that have ends like this, I end up dyeing them anyway. I only save out the ones that are going to have white ends for the whitetail spun. But some people like the effect of having these ends. I just don't. That's my own thing. Okay, so while this is soaking over here, we're just going to let it soak. And this is going to be the only time I'm going to wash it, and then I'm going to rinse it. I'll show you over here in the Mohair. So anyway, this is the Mohair, and as I told you before, I only washed it with soap one time. And you saw how much I moved it around, and actually it's pretty easy still to be able to grab a lock. See? And I was really moving it. I mean, I don't shred it, but I do turn it. I do a lot of this. And I do a lot of squeezing when I'm washing. And you can see that the water, this is a taupe fleece, a red fleece, and you can see the water really isn't, this is my rinse water. There's really not that much soap residue in it, and there's really, for the most part, no dirt in it. Okay, so this rinse will be my last rinse. And I do have, there's a couple pieces of alfalfa in here, but you don't want to mess with fleece when it's wet. You don't want to start pulling at it or picking at it. You just want to leave it alone. As far as if you see anything in it and it's obvious, you can go ahead and grab it, but don't start pulling on it or you're really going to make a mess. See, that one was on the top, so I can grab it and just get rid of it. Okay, so now what I would do is if I was going to dye this, it would go right into my dye pot. Right this second I would have it, but the dye pot would have to be the same temperature as what this water is, or I'm going to ruin the fleece, right? I'd have my dye pot with either my vinegar or my citric acid in it, and I'd begin dyeing it. This one I'm going to leave this color because actually Janice Rosema had some of this fleece and she spun it just this color, and I used to not really care for this color very much, but gosh, her yarn looked great. So that's what I'm going to do. Okay, so just a second, we'll take it out to the dry rack. Okay, so now I just brought this stuff outside in the sun, and literally this is exactly what I do. I'm going to, wow, that's really hot still. But I'm going to kind of squeeze the water out, and I'm going to separate it. This is the silkiest fleece. She's amazing. And still some of the locks are perfect, but I told you, do not start separating your locks now. This is not the time. You have to wait for this fleece to be completely dry. And in my sun, it's not going to take very long. It'll probably take till the end of the day, and I think it's probably like 1 o'clock or 2 o'clock. Now, what I did is I just rinsed this. You didn't see that part. I washed it once, and then I took the sprayer and just sprayed through it and just kept spraying. I actually didn't even soak it in rinse water. And then I'm going to unfold it like this. See? And the ends, like I said, they're stained because this is a different part of the sheep. It might be on the bridge or on the leg. Not all parts will be that dirty, but I'm probably going to dye these ones anyway. And I like to dye my tailspin after I've spun them. I don't like to dye it beforehand. And we'll just lay it out like this. And you could actually have done a lot. I just wanted to show you how I do it, so I didn't do very many locks at once. But, I mean, you certainly could do more than what I've done. So we'll lay it out here. And these laid out like this will take no time to dry. And like I said, don't mess around with them when they're wet. You're just going to make them frizzy. Wait till they're dry. So anyway, this is how you wash fleeces according to Natalie. And if you have any questions, you can email me at littly@mac.com. You can find me on Facebook at Namaste Farms or Ravelry at Namaste Farms. You can find my yarns at yarnmarket.com. Please, if you have any questions, feel free to contact me. I'm more than happy to answer them for you. Happy spinning, happy knitting.